guys, Chris Newson here, and welcome to the 2010 review. As you know, we did a similar exercise last year, and the feedback was very positive in terms of the ability to connect with you all and communicate to you about the bank and how the year has gone, and talk a little bit about the future. I think it is fair to say that I would love to be doing this on a face-to-face basis, but practically, clearly that's not necessarily achievable, and so we've resorted to technology, and I hope you will forgive us for that, but I hope you enjoy the journey. We're going to tell you a story today, and that story will take you through the institution that you work for, and will take you through what have been the challenges and successes for 2010, and hopefully give you some insight as to the role that you have played and can continue to play in the bank as we go forward. To do that, I'll take you through a little bit of discussion around the income statement and the profit and loss account and how we've done in real numbers terms. I'll talk a bit about the balance sheet. My colleague Shola will talk about the business units themselves, and then I'd like to wrap it up with a few key messages about 2011 and where we go in the future. And now I'd like to talk to you a little about the numbers and the performance for the year. Let me start at the income statement, given that that is the net result of all of the effort. If you look at our income statement, it has been a very challenging year in terms of revenue generation. However, there's some good news stories in there. If we look at our net interest line, we are up year on year at 5%. However, the environment that we've been operating there has been a very tough one. We have seen a significant reduction in the interest that we've been able to earn on our loans and advances, as well as seen a reduction in the interest that we've been able to earn on our investment securities, given that we have excess liquidity. At the same time, if you look at our fee and commission income, it is a pleasing story. We are 38% up year on year on fee and commission income, which has been a really credible and great performance, and we've seen that particularly coming through in the wealth business, putting through a very strong performance year on year. We've seen it in the increase in the transactional volumes and the fees that we're able to earn on that, and we've also seen it coming through in our advisory businesses. The investment banking part of our business has had a very strong year with a number of very significant mandates that they have won. Having said that, on the income side, it is true to say that our bottom line has been significantly and positively impacted by the non-recurrence of very large write-offs that we saw in the previous year. And I'll come back to that because it's a very important feature of our results in terms of going forward and sustainability. But it is true to say that we saw a benefit of close to 4 billion naira in that regard. If you look at our operating expenses, those have continued to grow, and we have always planned that that would be the case, given the amount of investment that we're making in infrastructure and the great successes that we've had in that regard. We are now sitting with 141 branches, which is almost double that we might have had a year ago. We're sitting with a 50% growth in our ATM network of close to 200 ATMs. We are represented in every state in Nigeria. Those are significant milestones for us as an institution, and talk to a great effort by everyone involved to make that a reality. Having said that, we've also grown our staff numbers by 16% year on year, and that shows that our total costs have continued to grow, and it is something which is somewhat concerning in the context of the tough revenue environment that we had. Putting this all together will show you that we've actually come out positively in the year, showing 30% profit before tax growth, which I think in this environment is credible, to say the least. We have seen an increased tax charge, so it does mean that our net money that we take home, or the net money that is attributable to our shareholders, ultimately who are our bosses, has grown 16% year on year. But I think that is still something which we deem to be very pleasing and something that we are to be proud of. If I may turn to the balance sheet, and you will see a number of figures coming up behind me, I think this is the good news story. We set out at the beginning of the year to grow the balance sheet, and in particular we were focused on risk assets and the development of our loans and advances across our CIB and particularly our PBB franchises. We've grown average assets this year at 52%. It's likely that the industry is only going to grow at something like 6%. Automatically you will see that we have gained market share, and that's hugely important to us as having been a key objective. We're going to have grown almost 10 times faster than the market in terms of risk assets. The caution to that is making sure that we're doing that in a sustainable way, and you will see that in terms of our NPL ratios and the way that we have had to provide in this year, that our book remains healthy and hopefully reasonably clean. And that really means that our risk management processes seem and appear to be working. We have to fund all this growth, and therefore our assets have to be funded by liabilities growth. And year on year we're up 39% on average in our liabilities, which in itself is very pleasing. But particularly pleasing is the mix of those liabilities, which we have through the course of the year managed to shift from more expensive, longer dated liabilities to the much cheaper current account type of deposits. It's a function of our growing network. It's a function of our focus on transactional banking and collections and CIB, and really needs to be seen in that light as being a great success for the year, where we are growing our cheaper liabilities base. The good news in our balance sheet remains that we are incredibly well capitalized, almost too well capitalized. We are 28% capitalized, whereas the ratio required by our regulator is only 10%. It holds a challenge for us. It says that with that amount of capital we need to make a decent return thereon, and I will come back to that when we talk about what are the challenges in 2011. But we remain a strong institution and one that you can be extremely proud of, particularly in the context of what has gone on in the Nigerian banking sector. In the operating environment, I've talked about a number of the successes that we have had, and there's been an awful amount of work building an institution and a bank that has got scale and is scalable in so many different ways. And I think it would be remiss not to mention the hard work that has gone in by our operations people, by our IT people, by the 100 branch project team. They've all shown a great amount of tenacity in getting delivery on some very tough assignments through the course of the year. You're all very aware of the core banking project that is going on around you, which will be implemented during the course of 2011. But that meant that during the course of 2010, a lot of work has had to go on into the design of that. And it will indeed, as I've said in previous communications, it will change the nature of the bank, and I continue to implore all of you to embrace that and look for the opportunities to improve our efficiencies in that regard. I would like to hand over to Sholo, who's going to talk to the business units and their performances in a little more detail to give you a greater sense of how they've done individually. Sholo, over to you.